Almar. Dwarven Necklace Defense plus 15.
Oh, that's the name of a black metal band from Sweden. They've got like 16 albums and they've been around since the 80s. But yet no one's ever heard of them. Noglamir. We are Noglamir.
I just picked up a neutron bomb.
Satan.
What is your music all about?
Satan. What the fuck? Killer.
Upside down killer fish.
He's not good at his job.
That dude is like a real life supervillain. You know that?
Well, not. Yeah, we're talking about Gaul from Gorgoroth, by the way. He did a very good job of making himself seem like he had a nice, dark, evil image.
But no, he did like crazy shit though. He kidnapped that dude.
Yeah, but okay. I think he lives in Norway. Anyways, his parents are somewhat wealthy, and he has acres and acres and acres of property that he has inherited from his family. And he literally lives miles and miles away from his nearest neighbor. And, apparently he kidnapped this guy one day, had him tied up to a table in his basement, and would torture him and cut him. And he would have like a sluice table that he was on, so like as he would bleed, it would like siphon down into this little bowl. And then he would take this bowl and put it up to the guy's lips and make him drink his own blood. And that happened for about 6 days. And then he let him go. Here's the best part. I don't think he ever actually served any time in jail for that.
Yeah, I was about to say, what the fuck?
But Norway's justice system is different. The absolute longest that you can be in jail for anything, even murder, is 21 years. And I don't know if you've seen some of the prisons in Norway, but they're fucking nice. Like the other guy, Vargvild Kurnis, or whatever his name is, I don't know, from the other band. You know, he helped kill that one guy. And there have been these documentaries, and they'll interview him in prison, and he's got this nice little room with like a bookshelf and like Casio keyboards and like a couch and like a guitar and a TV. I think I saw a TV in there one time. I doubt it's a legit story, but I do know that some creative people are kind of tortured souls, so to speak. But there was this whole concept of where Elmo came from, and I'm pretty sure this is like a creepypasta.
Elmo? Like the Muppet?
Yeah. Supposedly, Jim Henson had this dream that imagine the shape and size of Elmo. Okay. But instead of being red, he's solid white.
Okay.
The story goes that I read is that Jim Henson had this nightmare, and Elmo, that wasn't his name at the time. It didn't have a name in the dream, and you'll get at the end of the story, you'll get to why he's called Elmo. But this thing approached Jim Henson in his nightmare and was like, "We have work to do, Jim." And they said that they went through the English countryside just killing and killing and killing and killing until he was totally covered in blood, which is why it's red now.
What?
And it said all these things, and Jim Henson came in to work one day, and they had all these character designers, and they showed him this drawing, and it was
what he saw in the dream.
What he saw in the dream, and under his breath he said, "Hell no." And they heard it as Elmo, and they're like, "That's a great name." I'm going to share a Halloween story with you.
Okay.
Inspired by those Valhalla nights.
Okay.
When I was in high school, I had a friend, and I would go to his church on like Thursday nights because they had a youth group, and the church aspect of everything really wasn't that strong, so that's probably why I was more open to it.
Yeah.
There was some worship, and it was okay. But they had like pool tables, and they had a live band that would play on Thursday
Sounds
nights.
like a pretty cool church.
They had like a little arcade room that had like Galaga and stuff.
Sounds like a super cool church. When I would go with my friends to shit like that, we'd just wind up making like t-shirts and shit.
And there were some attractive young ladies in this youth group, so that's another reason. But now, this is all set up for the Halloween story that I was talking about. They would do little events for each holiday or season or whatever. And the one year that I went for the Halloween thing, they did a quote-unquote haunted hayride. They drove us all the way out to somewhere.
Okay.
I can't give you the name of this place or it'll kind of give away where we are. And we drove all these back roads,
Yeah.
and he would be telling us all the local legends of the area. It's like, here they've seen the Bigfoot or the whatever you want to call it walking in these swamps, and has shown himself to many a hunter on a late night on the way back home. And then they would take us to this graveyard and be like, several Civil War soldiers are buried here and are said to be looking for their heads. And, they just give the creepy stuff. And then we ended the night by driving out to these campgrounds. And there's this part where we get under the campgrounds and we're still driving on the road that goes through the campsites, and we drive past this archway. And as we pass the archway, out from behind us, these two headless horsemen start following us and throwing stuff at us. It was pretty damn cool. It turns out it was two of the older kids from the church that were actually accomplished horse riders and stuff like that. And then we had like a hot dog cookout and a campfire and all that stuff at the campgrounds. It was a pretty fun night.
That's pretty cool. I never really got to do anything that cool for Halloween.
And then I got sick as fuck because we were sitting in that open trailer all night, and then by the next day I was sick as hell, had a cold. But it was worth it.
When I was a kid, it was my dream to just go to like a badass Halloween party. That's what I wanted to do. Like the ones you'd see in movies.
I've been to some pretty shitty Halloween parties. And it's funny, it's like the ones that are like good are the ones that actually aren't even, they just happen to be on Halloween, but they're not like a Halloween themed party.
Yeah.
But there may be some people there that do kind of try to do the whole costume thing.
I always wanted just like a balls to the wall, full on Halloween party.
Well, I do too. I want like the masks and like the fortune teller in the corner, who and like her whole gimmick is like she gives ill news all night. That's like her thing. She gives bad omens all night to try to get people in the kind of spirit.
Just fun shit. Nothing like that around here though.
I tell you this, I've gone to the haunted houses around here too. Ass and a half. And here's the thing, like this haunted house, it's the same place that sells fireworks. Yeah. And then like there's like a lot off to the side.
Yeah.
And they use that to set up their haunted house.
That's pretty much where they have it every year, I think.
So yeah, which is really cool because it's like 2 blocks away from a really, really big cemetery.
Oh yeah, it sure is. The one cemetery that we went to, that's still like the top cemetery in my mind. I'm not gonna say its name because.
Well, we've been to a lot of cemeteries. Give like a description.
You know, the E. Kinsworthy.
Yeah.
That's still like the best one, I think. Why don't you tell the story about that cemetery? But the first time you went out there.
Well, the first time I ever went out there, it was freaky as hell.
Yeah, that's why I want you to tell that one.
Well, there's the Eakins and then there's the other place further down the road. Part of why all this was as freaky as it was is I had this friend. We will call him Daniel.
Okay.
That is his name. I will not reveal his last name. you know, there's a lot of people out there named Daniel. I don't think I'm giving away any trade secrets or exposing anybody here. But he was also an urban explorer / graveyard enthusiast at the time.
Yeah.
We would all meet up at this local coffee shop because it would stay open 24 hours at the time, and then we totally fucked that up, and now, hell, that place isn't even there anymore. I mean, we fucked it up pretty bad. Yeah, we screwed that one up for everybody else. But anyways, so we would meet up there.
You're going to have to tell that story later because I don't think I've heard that one. But continue.
And we would meet up in the evening times, and we would tell stories, get coffee, eat donuts. You know, what you would expect to do at such a place. Maybe play a little hacky sack in the side parking lot where there was a lot of room.
Yeah.
Anyways, so Daniel would tell us of this place, and he hyped it up so much. And we would drive out in the general area where we thought he described where it was, and we couldn't find this place. And then finally, after about a month, the next time he showed up there, we're like, hey, I'm not doing anything tonight. If I gave you like $8 gas money, will you show us how to get out to this place? And he was down for it because he didn't have anything to do the next day. So we went in, we got supplies, you know, got food to eat, provisions, and there was a gas station right across the street, so we got gas. We made our trek. And it's about an hour drive. I'd say it's about an hour drive.
Yeah.
And in this hour drive, luckily Daniel was in our vehicle. We took 2 vehicles, and Daniel was in our vehicle. And he proceeded to tell us all these stories about this place. He was a master at setting atmosphere. He was a master storyteller. So that by the time we pulled up to this place, we didn't even want to get out of the car. We were all like, and Daniel's like, well, it would be a shame to come all this way and not go and not get out of the car. So he kind of pushing the buttons a little bit more.
Yeah.
And so we get out. We didn't even stop at the cemetery this time. We were hyped on this other place. And, you know, he got out and he showed us all the hot spots. And through the years following that, I took various other people there, and I tried to do my best to tell the same stories.
Yeah.
And various other things did happen. Unfortunately, when we go out there these days, the magic is gone. It's like there's nothing to it for me anymore. I don't know what changed. I don't know if it just is different or if
You got older.
I just got older, and it's just kind of like the magic of Christmas. You lose the niceties that appeal to you. But anyways, so the first night we went out there with my friend Daniel, he had his other friend out there that had never been there before either, and he was kind of an artistic type. And he brought a really nice camera with him, and he went off on his own on these various trails.
Okay.
There used to be, I think that's another part, is there aren't any really trails out there anymore. There used to be lots of trails out there, but they've kind of cleaned out the land so much, and part of it has become part of that deer preserve.
Yeah.
So that's part of why it's not as cool. But, and so that dude disappeared for like an hour, and it got to the point where we had to go down and hunt him down before we left. But, you know, he showed us the tomb, the steps, the cliff, and he told us all the stories about the Indian burial mounds that are like on the other side of the...
Yeah.
I guess you could call it a mountain, but it's not really a mountain.
I've never been out there during the day. That's something I'm curious to see.
Well, we can't even get to that area anymore unless you want to like literally hike, and I suggest doing it in the daytime because it's very treacherous. But the story of this place is that, you know, I told you about the Indian burial mound.
Yeah.
It was Indian land for the longest time And then when settlers would come in, eventually they would still let them stay there. And then it became a part where, okay, this is your reservation area, until the final part where they were just like, okay, you can't stay here anymore either. So they got pushed up, I guess, towards Oklahoma, like just about all the other tribes did in this region. And the sheriff / mayor of the county moved and built his house there. And you've seen part of his foundation.
Yep.
And the steps to where his house was. And he lived out there for a while, and you know, for the most part, things were...
So he, like, kicked the Indians off the land to build his house there.
Pretty much. So you can imagine what kind of ill will, all the bad juju that might be there because of the, you know, the harboring of ill will towards him. And then eventually he died, and they built like this huge mining operation there to mine all of the minerals that were in the side of the cliff. And that's why we have some of those huge concrete pillars that are still out there. But as far as experiences I've had out there in the past, we took like 2 or 3 cars worth of people out there one night, and we took cameras as well. Just for the hell of it. You know, it's like, hey, why not document our experience, and maybe we'll remember it fondly later. Well, my friend Melissa, who was dating our other friend at the time, she brought a camera, and she took all these pictures, and then it was a brand new camera, brand new film, and she had taken many pictures before. She knew how to treat a camera. So as far as things going wrong on our end, not likely, but as far as things going wrong on the developer's end, possibly. But we took all these pictures, and then at the end we took a picture at this big tree that's there right as you get there. And you've seen this tree now, but as the years have gone on, they've trimmed it down more and more in the last 10 years so that it's not as bad. But it literally looked like the tree from that Sleepy Hollow movie. It was a creepy ass tree. And so at the end of the night, we all stood around this tree, and she took a picture of us. And that was going to be like our kind of midnight society kind of situation. Well, she goes and she gets the film developed, and almost none of the pictures made it out. They could not be developed because the film was damaged so bad somehow, and the only picture that even got close to being developed was the one at the end where we're all standing around this tree.
Okay.
And in this picture, all around our feet is a circle of fog, and at the top of the picture is nothing but like blood red sky. One of the most interesting things about this cemetery, other than this particular tombstone that you pointed out, that has one of the most iconic quotes for final last words on it that say,
"Just let me die."
Yes, it's like, and I like how it says it even before that. It says, "These were his last words.
Just let me die."
So in that case, it might have he was an old man, and he had probably been suffering for a while.
Mr. E. Kinsworthy.
To the point where, his family was probably asking him, it's like, well, Grandpa, you're not doing very well, so if something were to happen and you were to pass away in the next couple of hours, what do you want us to do?
Just let me die.
And he's probably just like, yeah, just let me die, son of a bitch. But an interesting thing that I found in this cemetery and tried to do some research on and got minimal, if not that much more, there is a tombstone for a particular doctor, and then very close to this man who lived to be at most, I'd say 36 years old, had a grave right next to him that's raised off the ground a little bit with bricks and such, and it's the grave of this 17-year-old girl who does not have the same last name as this man, but buried all around her grave are all these children that do have the same last name as the doctor.
Yep.
Some of them live to be about 5 or 6 years old. Some of them live to be a day old, died the same day that they were born, or would live a few months. And then I think at best some of them lived to be maybe 10 years old, was the oldest one that made it. So I don't know if this other girl
Is the mother or what?
of the mother of some of the younger children and the sister of some of the older children, but I don't know what went on there, if there was an outbreak of tuberculosis or typhoid fever, or,
But why so many?
But why so many? Literally, there's at least six young graves around this other grave, and they all have the same last name as the doctor. So I don't know if he had some kind of illegitimate affair with this younger girl, and they had all these children that were miscarriages, because some of the dates of the births are close to the same dates of births of the other children.
Yeah.
So I don't know, so it's not like over a span of like 50 years or what have you. But anyways. Or if they were all orphans and he adopted them and they all died at young ages or something. I don't know, but there's a lot more to that story that I've yet to be able to find in public records. So, and that about ends the story time accounts of that particular area. We took a serious left turn on this compared to our usual comedic fare, but if you will, it's nice to switch it up a little bit.
Yeah.
And on that note, I need a glass of water.